They also, the Tomcat, which is right there. You might want to get a little closer to that.
Absolutely. Oh, we can actually go inside?
Now, you can get up there and really get good photographs of the cockpit, but you can't get in. It's part of our agreement with the Navy, which technically still owns this airplane.
Oh, they do?
Yes.
I've never actually seen one.
That's where the driver sits.
Doesn't look very comfortable.
Fighter planes are not built for comfort. They're not built for room either. You don't get in a fighter plane, you kind of sort of wear it.
Yeah.
Think of it as a bloody big backpack. Now, anybody who's seen the movie Top Gun Maverick and look in the back seat of this Tomcat, they'll understand the problem he had trying to figure out which two buttons and switches control the radar and the radio.
Yeah, I could see.
He'd never even seen a Tomcat in person, and he sat.
So I noticed there's switches behind.
So in the movie Top Gun Maverick, they take great pains not to name it, but only one other country ever flew the F-14, and that was Iran. So that was the country. Now they kind of sort of talk down about this airplane, and this airplane was designed to be an air superiority fighter. The radar in the nose of this plane is so good that it can keep track of 28 individual targets, which means that you could almost use this as an AWACS plane. Now, the radar officer sits in the back, but the radar officer also, he controls the weapon systems and brings them online, and he has the ability to fire missiles.
Okay.
As well as the pilot. Because the radar operator got one of the two Libyan MiG-23s in an encounter. The U.S. Navy flew this plane for a number of years. It was an air superiority fighter. It carried the AIM-54 air intercept missile, which was long range, range about 50 miles.
Okay.
And so you could shoot from well beyond vision once you identified a bad guy. It also had the Vulcan cannon in it, which was the same cannon that they had put in the Phantom. And that's the magazine for it, which typically held about 620 millimeter cannon rounds.
Okay, I can see the bullets.
The Vulcan cannon fires at the rate of 100 rounds per second. So 600 rounds would last you about 6 seconds. So what the Navy used to do is to keep awareness in the pilots. They would take every 50th round out. And what happens when it hit an empty spot, it would temporarily stop. You had to release the trigger and pull it again to get the gun to fire again. But what this did was keep the pilots mindful of their ammunition. The 50-20 millimeter rounds, coupled with a radar-guided gun sight, which computed the lead for you when you locked onto an aircraft.
Yeah.
50 rounds at a time would generally do the job. But that keeps you from 3 seconds. You used up half your ammunition.
Yeah.
And of course, when a thing like this fly in the movies, when you see one of these guys shooting, okay, you hear a rat tat 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 tat. It's a machine gun. When this plane fires, you get brap, 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 and that's it.
Yeah.
And that's 150 rounds gone. They trigger off so
now,
fast.
How big is that magazine?
600 rounds.
600.
Max capacity was 675, but typically they only put 600 rounds in.
Okay.
And of course, the missile on bottom. Now, if you look on the underside of just over here, you'll see that they've you probably get a better shot from the back end. There's a recon pod mounted over there. But this thing carried.
Oh, it's all the way back there, right?
Yeah.
I see.
This thing carried one missile here on each side and 4 under the fuselage, arranged in a cross pattern.
Okay,
2 on the side and 2 up the middle.
Okay.
This is the A model, which is one of the first F-16s they done.
That's amazing.
The F-16 also had the swing wing. So when they were flying low, like takeoff and landing and whatnot, the wings would swing fully forward and they would get maximum lift from the wings because they were flying slower. When they were flying faster at supersonic speeds, they sweep the wing all the way back, and this thing becomes a missile.
Oh.
It's capable of ballistic flight, and ballistic flight means going straight up. And when you do something like that, the wings are useless.
I'm going to get around to those engines.
This is the business end. The black and white striped tube that you see there is actually the tail hook, or as I like to call it, the carrier brake, because it catches the wire and stops the airplane when it lands on the aircraft carrier. And this has to be lowered like the landing gear on command.
Mm-hmm.
And the red covers are simply blocking off the engine.
Okay.
They do that anywhere just to keep birds and other critters from falling in the engine and causing havoc.
I've seen quite a few videos what those engines do to birds.
Yes.
There's nothing left.
Well, if you ask Captain Sullenberg, it's not what they did to the birds, it's what the birds did to him.